employees are Safety is an integral part of our culture at Cleveland Construction. We feel that a strong safety program is a major factor in our success, and it contributes to our competitive edge by reducing our cost of doing business. Actually, safety pays well for everyone involved. The company benefits from an effective safety program, resulting in a more competitive cost of doing business, and our employees are spared the agony of personal injury, the disruption of routine family life, and possibly reduced income for you and your family. So as we work together to create buildings, we must also work together to create a safe environment to do our work. We summarize this employer-employee relationship by saying that Cleveland Construction is team safety. As a member of team safety, you have an obligation to your family, your fellow workers, and your employer to work in a safe and efficient manner. To accomplish this, we believe that it is extremely important to train each worker to examine your environments and become able to identify hazards so that management can either eliminate the hazard or ensure that you're protected from the harsh effects of the hazard. An accident is the occurrence of an unexpected event. Consequently, if we take the time to identify potential hazards and neutralize them, there will be no unexpected events. Cleveland Construction has developed a program we call Job Hazard Analysis. We begin each day by examining the workplace conditions and the tasks to be performed to identify potential hazards, so that we can plan to control or eliminate them before work begins. The Occupational Safety and Health Administration, also known as OSHA, the agency that regulates workplace safety, states that the job hazard analysis is a technique that focuses on job tasks as a way to identify hazards before they occur. It focuses on the relationship between the worker, the task, the tools, and the work environment. Ideally, after you identify uncontrolled hazards, you will take steps to eliminate or reduce them to an acceptable risk level. So it should be clear that safety is the #1 priority of Cleveland Construction's employees, on and off the job site. All of our job site managers are certified competent persons. OSHA defines a competent person as one who is capable of identifying existing and predictable hazards in the surroundings or working conditions which are unsanitary, hazardous, or dangerous to employees, and who has authorization to take prompt corrective measures to eliminate them. Because our managers are certified as competent persons, you can be sure that they are skilled at directing the work on our job sites with a trained eye for the hazards associated with that work. Your responsibility while working on our job site is to participate in the job hazard analysis meetings. The job site managers or competent persons of this job site has developed this work plan each day to identify hazards you will encounter. Because a construction site is continuously changing, everyone involved with the work being performed should contribute to helping identify potential hazards to make the JHAs as productive as possible. Please pay full attention to this video so you fully understand what is expected from you as you perform your work. If anything in this video is unclear or confusing, talk with your supervisor prior to going to work. This video should be viewed as a training program to prepare you to perform routine tasks on our construction site in a safe manner. If you have any questions or concerns after viewing this video, please bring them to the attention of the competent person in charge. Lesson number 1, personal protective equipment. Anyone working on a construction site should be aware that it is a very dangerous occupation, and you must prepare to defend yourself every moment of the day. To best defend yourself, you will need several pieces of equipment developed for the construction worker. Cleveland Construction requires you to wear certain equipment all day because threatening events are frequent and very random. Other equipment will be required on an as-needed basis. When you have completed this training section, you will understand the required and optional personal protective equipment, how to use and care for selected personal protective equipment, how to properly inspect your personal protective equipment. The following personal protective equipment is the minimum requirements to enter a Cleveland construction job site. Hard hat. Cleveland Construction will issue a hard hat to you before you begin work. The hard hat is to be worn at all times on the job site. Make sure you properly inspect for any cracks or damage before you begin work each day. You may have to adjust the headband for a good snug fit. The hard hat is to be worn with the largest part of the brim in the front and over your eyes. Safety glasses. On a construction site, there is always debris being propelled into the air by job site tools and activity. Safety glasses must be worn by all field personnel at all times, regardless of work activity. Standard safety glasses will be issued to all employees. However, if you purchase your own equipment, it must be approved for the intended task by your supervisor. There are various types of lenses intended for different work elements. Clear lenses are used for most work situations. Amber lenses are very useful in lower light work areas, and gray tinted sunglass style lenses are used for outdoor work in direct light. We will also provide safety glasses to be worn over prescription eyeglasses. Lens cleaning towelettes are available to keep safety glasses clear and reduce scratches. Proper clothing. All workers are required to be properly clothed for a Cleveland construction job site, which includes a shirt with at least a 4-inch sleeve, long pants, and hard-soled shoes. A 6-inch high work boot is recommended because it helps to prevent ankle twists and sprains. Employees are also required to wear a safety vest or high-visibility shirts or outerwear. Some tasks may also require long sleeves and/or steel-toed shoes. Cut-off shirts, tank tops, muscle shirts, or tennis shoes are not permitted, along with loose clothing, baggy shirts, ripped, tattered, or dragging work pants. Other task-specific personal protective equipment you may need include hearing protection, respiratory protection, hand protection, face shields, and safety harness. Hearing protection. It is mandatory to wear hearing protection when you are near any such tools, equipment, or machinery that emit loud or shrill noises. Earplugs or earmuffs must be worn when using powder-actuated or gas-powered tools. Standard construction site rules state that if you are within 2 feet of someone and you need to shout to communicate, hearing protection is probably needed. Remember, if your ears are damaged by loud noises, they cannot be fully restored to their original efficiency. Respiratory protection. Although respiratory protection is not required by Cleveland Construction for the customary work we perform, we have established a voluntary respirator use policy. We will supply an N95 dust mask to any employee looking for an additional level of comfort and protection while working with fiberglass, fireproofing, sanding drywall, sweeping the floors, or handling lead-lined drywall upon your request. All other requests for a respirator will be evaluated on a case-by-case basis. If you have any concerns regarding respiratory hazards, talk with your supervisor. Hand protection. Cleveland Construction supplies several types of gloves to defend against cuts and damage to your hands when handling materials or equipment. Gloves should be worn during cleaning operations, when working with fiberglass, lead-lined drywall, cutting metal studs, and as directed by your supervisor. When wearing gloves near moving parts, be mindful that they can get caught and pull your hand into danger. If you have any concerns on whether or not you should be using gloves while performing your work, talk to your supervisor. Face shields. A full-faced shield shall be worn in addition to safety glasses when working in an area with flying or floating debris, such as operating a chop saw, disaster saw, or grinder. In addition, an approved welding hood with a face shield must be worn during all welding operations. When working with spark-producing activities, you are required to have a fire extinguisher in your immediate work area. Donning a harness. Occasionally, you will be required to wear a full-body harness as part of the fall protection system. It is important to wear this equipment properly, as improper use can result in serious physical harm. Before donning your harness, be sure to inspect for nicks, cuts, tears, frays, and any deformation of the metal components. If you suspect your harness of being deficient in any way, bring it to the attention of your supervisor. Remember to follow these steps when donning a harness. Step 1. Hold the harness by the D-ring. Shake the harness to allow all of the straps to fall in place. Step 2. If the chest, leg, and/or waist straps are buckled, release the straps and unbuckle them at this time. Step 3. Slip the harness over your shoulders so the D-ring is located in the middle of your back between your shoulder blades. Step 4. Pull the leg strap between your legs and connect it to the opposite end. Repeat with the second leg strap. Step 5. Connect the chest strap and position it in the mid-chest area. Tighten it to keep your legs and shoulder straps taut. Step 6. After all straps have been connected, tighten all buckles so that your harness fits snug but allows for full range of movement. Finally, pass the excess strap through the loop keepers. Additional safety equipment used for fall protection, such as lanyards, lifelines, and others, will be reviewed in Lesson 3, Fall Protection. It's very important to thoroughly inspect all personal protection equipment daily. Use it properly, and always wear your equipment when it is required. Let's do a quick review of this lesson. Remember that potentially dangerous situations exist on every job site, and personal protective equipment is developed to protect you from serious workplace injuries. Cleveland Construction requires that hard hats and safety glasses are to be worn at all times on the job site. Under our voluntary respirator use program, we will provide an N95 dust mask for extra protection upon your request. Always remember to inspect your personal protective equipment before using, as it is your last line of defense. Think about the work to be performed to ensure you have the proper equipment to protect yourself. Lesson number 2, Fall Protection. In the construction industry, falls are the leading cause of worker fatalities. Each year, on average, between 150 and 200 workers are killed, and more than 100,000 are injured as a result of falls at construction sites. Consequently, OSHA has identified falls as one of the top 4 types of fatalities, along with struck by, caught between, and electrocutions. These 4 injuries are known as the Focus 4. Cleveland Construction Incorporated has joined OSHA to inform you about these hazards, the methods used to isolate these conditions, and supply the equipment necessary to protect you. Upon completion of this training section, you should understand the hazards of falling, various fall protection systems used on the construction site, the personal equipment available to employees to protect them from falls. Trigger height for fall protection. OSHA has established that construction workers who are on a working or walking surface and are exposed to a potential fall of 6 feet or more must be protected with the use of guardrails, safety net systems, or a personal fall arrest system. When working on a scaffold, those same protections are required when the work platform is more than 10 feet above a lower level. Safety net systems are seldom used in commercial construction and most often used for bridge work. For this reason, we will focus our discussion on the guardrail and personal fall arrest systems. Guardrails. The most common form of fall protection used around the perimeter of a structure and around large floor openings are guardrails. They are commonly constructed according to rigid specifications and made of 2x4 wood construction or steel cabling. Guardrails are usually made from the same steel used for the scaffolding frame. Occasionally, wood 2x4s or chain material may be used on scaffolding. Regardless of the materials used, all guardrails must be constructed to meet the rigid specifications to offer the same degree of protection. Although it is not necessary for you to know the exact specification of the installation of guardrails or scaffolding, you must know if the guardrails appear to be adequate. To be adequate, the top rail of the guardrail, or top cable if wire rope is used, is to be set about 42 inches above floor level, or about waist high. If any part of the guardrail or cable sags below 39 inches, employees cannot work until it is repaired. You will occasionally see what appears to be a flimsy guardrail system. They are not guardrails and are not built to the guardrail specifications. They are constructed using rope, wire, or chains strung from stanchion to stanchion and are identified with bright colored flags or ribbons. These areas are being protected with a warning line system or as a controlled access zone. They are set up under special conditions to keep workers away from dangerous areas such as unprotected building edges, floor openings, and bricklaying operations to indicate that fall protection is required beyond that point, or that only trained, skilled workers are permitted beyond that point. If it is necessary for you to work inside a warning line system, you will be required to be tied off to the structure with a personal fall arrest system, and only workers with the proper training can enter a controlled access zone. Personal fall arrest system. A personal fall arrest system consists of a full body harness connected to a lanyard with a deceleration device connected to an anchor point. When this equipment is set up properly, it will not permit a free fall of more than 6 feet, because in a fall you increase speed, which places more stress on the equipment and causes a greater jolt to your body. For this reason, it is necessary to attach the equipment so as to take as much slack out of the lanyard as possible by attaching to an anchor point over your head. Let's take a better look at each piece of equipment. Full body harness. This is a garment made of rugged nylon straps that is worn by the worker that will cradle his body if he should fall. Adequate supplies of these items of personal protective equipment, PPE, are on the job site solely for the protection of our employees. If the equipment is not offered to you and you feel that you are exposed to a fall, ask your supervisor for the equipment before you begin work. We know that you must feel safe and comfortable to produce good work. When you use a harness, make sure that you use all of the adjustable features to snug the harness to your body in case you fall. Lifelines. A vertical lifeline is a long rope usually attached to the roof of the structure and hangs down the side of the building, so when working on a swing stage, you can use a special device called a rope grab to attach their lanyard to the lifeline, completing the fall protection system. A horizontal lifeline is a long rope that has both ends attached to 2 parts of the structure using a tie-off adapter, allowing usually 2 workers to attach their lanyard to O-rings on the rope to complete the fall protection system. Lanyards. The lanyards are available in either a fixed or a variable length style, sometimes called an adjustable or retractable lanyard. The lanyard is designed so that one end can be attached to the D-ring on the back of the harness, and the other end is attached to the anchor point. The major consideration for selecting the style and length of a lanyard is freedom of movement for the worker and limiting the free fall distance as much as possible. Anchor points. Occasionally, the structure and the personnel lifts will be designed with a built-in anchor point. Otherwise, it is necessary to establish an anchor point with the use of a portable device designed for this purpose. An anchor point must be capable of supporting 5,000 pounds, so the equipment used must be designated for that capacity. There are several portable anchor items that are manufactured to meet the specifications. Tie-off adapters are woven nylon belts designed to be wrapped around substantial parts of the structure. Beam clamps attached to the bottom flange of an I-beam. Concrete anchors are drilled into set concrete, and roof anchors can be installed into almost any roof. falls on the same level. Trips, slips, and falls from walking and working surfaces account for 15% of all accidental deaths in the construction industry. These simple housekeeping steps will prevent such accidents. Keep all walking and working areas clean, dry, and free of clutter and debris. Keep materials and supplies neatly stacked. Holes must be covered with a material capable of supporting at least twice the weight of employees, equipment, and materials that may be imposed on the cover at any one time. All covers shall be color-coded or marked hole or cover and fastened to prevent displacement. Special attention must be paid to housekeeping and keeping working areas clear when any work is performed on stilts. Follow the manufacturer's recommendations on the safe working height for the stilts used. Impalement hazard. When working above protruding reinforced steel, additional protection against impalement will often involve the use of steel reinforced covers or wooden troughs. Falling objects. To protect yourself from falling objects, Cleveland Construction requires you to wear your hard hat at all times. There are additional measures that need to be in place to ensure that objects do not fall onto people working or walking below during construction. The following are controls to prevent or minimize the risk of falling objects. Mesh, toe boards, and screens provide falling object protection to people below. Canopies can be used between the falling object hazard and employees and must be strong enough to withstand the impact forces of the potential falling objects. Barricaded areas are sometimes established to keep workers out of areas where objects or materials may fall. Let's do a quick review of this lesson. Falls are the top cause of fatalities on construction job sites. Always wear and use the proper fall arrest equipment. Respect warning lines and controlled access zones. Cover and secure floor openings and maintain a neatly organized work area to prevent slips and trips. It is ultimately your responsibility to pay close attention to what is happening around you at all times. Lesson number 3, elevated work platforms. In many situations, employees are required to perform tasks on elevated levels. Elevated work platforms pose fall hazards. There are many different styles and safety operations of lifts designed for various locations and conditions. Knowing the safe operation for elevated work platforms will eliminate injuries and save your life and others. When you complete this training section, you will be familiar with some of the most common types of elevated work platforms you will encounter on the job site. Understand the safe operation and use of various elevated work platforms. Be able to identify which elevated work platform is most appropriate for the task. And understand which elevated work platform operations require additional training. Cleveland Construction uses several types of elevated work platforms to raise workers up to higher work areas. The most common elevated work platforms are ladders, scaffolds, personnel lifts, and stilts. Ladders. There are two basic types of ladders you will encounter in your work: the extension or straight ladder and the step ladder. Take the time to analyze what type and size ladder is best suited for you to safely perform your work.